What up, everybody? It's your boy Hawk, and welcome back. I mainly want to talk about the Warriors real quick. At the time of recording, they're 37-36. They're 6th in the Western Conference. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They won their last game. They're on a one-game win streak. Shout out to them. Steph's having, honestly, one of the best seasons of his career. Almost 30 a game, on 43% from three, on 11 attempts a game, basically 50% from the field, 6 rebounds, which is a career high, and 6 assists. Klay Thompson's also having a really good season. 21 points, 46% from the field, 40% from three, on a career high 10 attempts a game. Now, Klay Thompson's defense admittedly doesn't look as good as it has in his previous years and when he was in his prime, but the offense is definitely picking up compared to like the last year and a half. But the reason I want to talk about the Warriors today is because there are a tale of basically two teams. They're a completely different team, whether they're at home or away. At home, they have one of the best home records in the league. They're currently 29-7. And for comparison, the Nuggets are the number 1 seed in the West at 30-6 at home. Memphis Grizzlies are 30-5 at home. The Milwaukee Bucks are 29-7 at home. The Celtics are 26-9 at home. The Cavs are 29-8 at home. They have an elite home record, but on the road, they're 8-29. Simply cannot win a game on the road. And for context, the Detroit Pistons are 7-29 on the road. The Rockets are 6-28 on the road. And the Spurs are 6-27 on the road. The Golden State Warriors barely have a better road record than the Spurs, the Rockets, the Pistons. What is going on? Before their win last night in Houston, their last road win was January 30th against OKC. They lost all of February on the road and most of March. And what's crazy, they were solid on the road last year. They were 22-19 on the road. And it's ironic almost because last year, there were multiple times throughout the regular season where I was like, the Warriors are really, really good, but I didn't know how they were going to do on the road. I thought their role players were a little bit inexperienced. They didn't strike me as guys who would play well on the road. Jordan Poole didn't have a whole extra year of experience in his championship run. Gary Payton II, Otto Porter, they're good role players for sure, don't get me wrong, but they just, for some reason, I remember feeling like most of last season that I didn't like the Warriors on the road. Turns out I was a year early, and this Warriors team is the team not to like on the road. The biggest and most notable difference for me when it comes to the Warriors home and away is the defense does not travel, like at all. At home, they're the 3rd ranked defense in the league at a 108 defensive rating. And on the road, it's literally the exact opposite. They're the 3rd worst defensive rating in the league at 119. But to be fair, the offense travels. At home, they're the 13th ranked offense at 115 for offensive rating. And on the road, they're 13th at 112 offensive rating. While I'm not one that really likes to get lost in the numbers, my main focus and point here is on the road, this team is not playing defense at all. I don't know if it's an effort and energy thing, but I do think a big piece is they're still missing Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins hasn't played since February 13th. He missed some time earlier in the season as well, and he's only played in 37 out of 73 possible games so far this season. So they're missing what he brings to the team. A bigger defender on the perimeter, somebody who'll be able to guard some of these wings, a guy who, like we said in the NBA Finals and when they were on that playoff run, a guy who just does everything for them. They're missing that. They don't have that. And also, while we're on the topic of Wiggins, can we stop spreading this rumor that no one has a legit source on? If you know the rumor, you know the rumor. If you don't, I'm not even going to tell you what the rumor is and spread it here. But let's stop spreading it. It's to the point where I literally saw it on Facebook the other day. Yes, I was scrolling on Facebook. People sharing it, talking about it like, yo, this is crazy. How's this happening to him? The rumor came from a random guy, basically as if a guy who's no more random on the internet than me, as if I started this rumor and just made this video and posted it and it went viral. That's the equivalent of the source we have for the Andrew Wiggins rumor. We don't know who this guy is. There's no real source. Let's stop, because it's a wild rumor to be spreading at this point. But back to basketball, shout out to Kenny Beecham. He asked on Through the Wire the other day, is there a reason to give the Warriors the benefit of the doubt? Like I said earlier, they're 6th in the Western Conference right now. They're 37-36. But is there this reason to give them the benefit of the doubt? Is there this idea of that, well, they are the defending champs. This is Steph, Klay, and Draymond. If they figure it out, they can make something happen. And honestly, for me, no. There is no reason to give the Warriors the benefit of the doubt here. And you can call me a hypocrite. You can say it's crazy. But for me, seeing this crazy discrepancy between home and away, the fact that they don't know when Wiggins is going to be back, if he's going to be back at all this season, and knowing they're going to be a road team for all of their playoff run, there's not a world where I see the Warriors actually making a real repeat title run. I don't think there's enough games left in the regular season for them to figure this out before the playoffs. I'm out on the Warriors in terms of them making a deep run to try to actually make a move for the title. If they surprise me, I mean, amazing. Obviously, it'll be great basketball to watch, but I don't see it happening this season for them. All right, moving on for the Warriors, but also that's how we got here. Let's talk about the Rockets because Draymond had some interesting words about the Rockets and their win over them. Shout out to their one road win out of very few. But yes, the Warriors beat the Rockets the other night. Draymond basically after the game was like, yo, this team is cool. They ain't got no vets. I like their coach, but they need some vet leadership on this team. About a week before, shout out to JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man and the Three, Dame brought up the point that in the NBA, there aren't 40-year-old vets on teams anymore, and he actually showed some love to Udonis Haslem. About a month or two before that, John Wall was on a podcast and said, yo, what the Rockets had going on when I was there was crazy. And I told them, if you want a real NBA team, the stuff y'all doing ain't gonna fly. Y'all need some vets. And then just the other day, JJ Redick on his podcast, Old Man on the Three, was talking about the Rockets and basically said, yo, this organization is garbage, and mainly because they don't have any vet leadership. And I think it's interesting. I got two quick thoughts on it. One, I completely agree. I said this in a TikTok last year that when I watch the Rockets, I see the talent. This is no disrespect to the talent. Jabari Smith Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., they're good players. They're talented players. I like them a lot. Also, Jalen Green, shout out to him. But they need vet leadership. They need two things in my mind. One, yes, they need vet leadership. The oldest person on this team right now is Boby, and he's only 34 and barely plays. After that, Frank Kaminsky is 29. Like, there's literally no veteran leadership on this team at all. So yes, I do think this team needs some vet leadership. I think the NBA in general needs some vet leadership. We'll talk about that in a second. More specifically for the Rockets, and I've been saying this for a while, they need a point guard. Even if it was just another young point guard, if they want to keep this, hey, let's keep everybody under 21 years old on this team, keep that going, sure, that's fine. The Rockets desperately need a playmaking point guard. When I watch their games, yes, shout out to Şengün. I know he be diming up people every now and then. But mainly for me, when I look at this team, when I watch this team, I'm like, yo, if they had a guy who can get other people involved and play make and move the ball, they'd be not crazy better, but a lot more enjoyable to watch. And I think the offense would run a lot smoother. So Rockets, find a point guard. But my other point here that I alluded to earlier is that the idea of, I've now seen JJ say it, I've seen Dame say it, I've seen Draymond say it, this idea that there aren't enough vets in the league. And I've seen some other players, shout out UD, and me and my boys always make fun of Udonis Haslem because a couple of our guys are Miami Heat fans. And, you know, it's just like this idea of, hey, yo, retire and free up that roster spot. Same similar discourse happened when Vince Carter played. So he was in his 20th year, and it was like, yo, retire and free up that roster spot. But you hear from so many young guys on these teams, the Atlanta Hawks in that case, and the Miami Heat in this case, they enjoyed those vets. You hear all the time that young players enjoy their vets. They learn so much from their vets. You hear superstars of today, Dame, Steph, LeBron, whoever, talk about their vets when they entered in the league and how their vets were supportive, showed them the ropes. Charles Barkley talked about his vets with the Sixers all the time. Vets showing rookies the ropes has always been a thing in the NBA, and I think we're getting away from that for almost two reasons. One, the business side of things, the owners, the GMs, whatever, are like, we want players who can play and be assets on the court immediately. The 40-year-old ain't really being that much of an asset on the court, and I think they're missing out on some of the off-court stuff that 40-year-old could bring. But from a player's perspective, thinking of Dame, thinking of Draymond, I wonder if in the back of their heads, they're like, yo, if I keep putting out that teams need these 40-year-old guys, they really do need these vets, I can extend my career if I really want to. Like, I could just turn into a player coach almost and just be the 13th man on the bench for a solid team or a solid up-and-coming young team and just, you know, share some wisdom. I doubt that's what players of Draymond and Dame's caliber are thinking, because those are guys who have made their money. When they're done, they probably gonna be out. But I can see some guys who are just maybe a solid starter caliber or a good six man being like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to play till I'm 40 and just be here, collect a check, and be a little player coach type deal. But that's all I got for you guys today. Nothing groundbreaking, just some ideas I wanted to share. If you made it this far, you are a real one. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out. Peace.